Part 1. Welcome and the translation trap.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of SlowVibe English. This is the place where we slow down, relax, and improve our English in a natural, comfortable way. I'm Emma.
And I'm David. Hello, Emma. Hi to everyone who is listening to us today, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a beautiful day.
Hey, David. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, Emma. Actually, I was just thinking about today's topic. It is something I used to struggle with a lot when I was learning my second language, and I know so many of our listeners face this every single day.
Oh, yes. Today, we are diving deep into a very important topic: how to train your brain to think directly in English. We want to help you stop translating everything in your head.
This is such a game changer. When you learn to think in English, speaking becomes effortless. You don't feel tired after a conversation anymore.
Exactly. But before we begin, if you love our podcast and find it helpful for your English journey, please take a quick second to subscribe to SlowVibe English. Sharing this episode with a friend who is also learning English is another wonderful way to support us.
Yes, learning is always more enjoyable when you share the journey with others. Now, let's talk about the big problem. Emma, what is the translation trap that most intermediate learners fall into?
Well, David, when we first learn a language, we learn by connecting the new English words to our native language. For example, you see the word happy, and your brain translates it to your native word for happy.
Right, and that creates a 4-step cycle in our heads. When someone asks us a question, we first hear the English. Then we translate it to our native language to understand it. Next, we think of our reply in our native language. And finally, we translate that reply back into English before we speak.
It is exhausting. It's like taking a long, winding road to cross a small river when you could just build a direct bridge. Exactly. That 4-step process is the reason why there is always an awkward pause before you speak. Your brain is doing double the work.
Part 2. The science of neural pathways.
That's right. So how do we fix this? We need to build what scientists call direct neural pathways in English.
Neural pathways. That sounds like a very complex scientific term, Emma. Can you explain it simply?
Of course. Imagine a hill covered in deep, fresh snow. You want to get from the top of the hill to a cabin at the bottom. The first time you walk down, there is no path. You have to push through the heavy snow. It is slow, difficult, and you might slip.
Ah, I see. That's like when you are a beginner in English. Every sentence feels heavy and difficult to build.
Exactly. But if you walk down that exact same hill every day, what happens? Your boots pack the snow down. Slowly, a clear, smooth path is formed. Soon, you can walk down that path easily without even thinking about your steps.
That is a beautiful image, Emma. So the translation path is the old path we always use. We need to walk on the new English-only path until it becomes smooth and automatic.
Yes. Every time you think directly in English, you are taking a step on that new snowy path. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And today, we are going to share the exact tools you need to pack down that snow and make your English path smooth. Part 3. Mind Shift 1. Mental Substitution.
Let's start with the first tool. I love this one. It is called mental substitution.
Mental substitution is all about using the English you already know to express different thoughts. Many intermediate learners already know thousands of English words. The problem is not their vocabulary. The problem is that those words are asleep in their brain.
They are asleep? How do we wake them up?
We wake them up by practicing throughout the day. Whenever a thought comes into your head in your native language, pause. Ask yourself, how can I express this in English? But here is the secret. Don't just translate it once. Try to find 2 or 3 different ways to say the same thing.
Can you give us a real-life example, Emma?
Sure. Imagine you are sitting at your desk and you suddenly feel very tired. Your first thought in your native language might be, Ich bin so müde. Instead of just translating that to, I am tired, try to push your brain further.
What else could we say?
You could think, my energy is really low right now. Or, I think I need a short break. Or even, I feel completely exhausted today.
Ah, so by doing that, you are opening up different paths in your brain to express the same feeling of being tired. You are teaching your brain to be flexible.
Yes, exactly. In real conversations, you cannot always remember the exact word you want. If you only have one pathway to an idea, you will get stuck. But if you practice mental substitution, you will always have options. You will never freeze. Part 4. Mind Shift 2. The emotional inner monologue.
That leads us perfectly into the second tool, the emotional inner monologue.
Yes, an inner monologue is just the silent conversation you have with yourself inside your head. We all do it all day long, but we usually do it in our native language.
I must confess, Emma, I talk to myself in my head constantly, but doing it in English can feel quite overwhelming at first.
It definitely can, David. That is why we should start with a bilingual inner monologue. You don't have to switch to 100% English immediately. You can start small. Think a sentence in your native language and then immediately say it to yourself in English.
And why did you call it an emotional monologue?
Because our brains are wired to remember emotions. When you feel a strong emotion, like joy, frustration, or surprise, that is the perfect time to think in English.
Oh, that makes sense. For example, if I am waiting for a bus and it is late and I feel annoyed, instead of complaining in my native language, I should think in English. This is so frustrating. Why is the bus always late?
Exactly. Or when you taste a delicious piece of cake, think, wow, this is incredibly good. I love the flavor. Because these thoughts are connected to real, raw emotions, they sink deeper into your long-term memory. It builds a very strong neural pathway.
That is why people always remember swear words so easily in a foreign language. They are connected to intense emotions.
Yes, that is actually true. But we can use that same brain power for positive and useful English phrases too. Part 5. Input quality and the 70% rule.
Let's move on to the third tool. This is about what we put into our brains. We call it input quality.
Many students make a big mistake here. They either listen to things that are way too easy, so their brain falls asleep, or they try to read complex, native-level articles and watch advanced news programs, which makes them feel overwhelmed and stupid.
Yes, I see that a lot. People want to jump straight to advanced material, but they get discouraged and give up.
To train your brain to think in English, you need what we call comprehensible input. This is content where you understand about 70 to 80% of the words naturally. The remaining 20% should be a slight challenge, but not so hard that you lose the meaning of the story.
This is what we call the 70% rule, right?
Exactly. At 70% comprehension, your brain can easily guess the meaning of new words from the context. This is how native children learn. They don't look up every word in a dictionary. They guess the meaning because they understand the rest of the sentence.
That is why graded readers, which are books simplified for different English levels, are so amazing. And podcasts like ours.
Yes! We designed SlowVibe English specifically to be in that sweet spot for intermediate learners. It is slow enough to understand, but rich enough to help you grow.
And here is a pro tip for when you watch videos or movies with English subtitles. Try to read ahead slightly. Glance at the subtitle quickly before the actor speaks. This primes your brain to recognize the sounds, making your listening comprehension much faster.
Part 6. Active Output and the WORKSPACE Narrative.
Now, let's talk about active practice. You cannot learn to think in English just by listening. At some point, you have to produce the language.
But Emma, what if a student lives in a place where they don't have anyone to speak English with?
You don't need a partner to start practicing output, David. You can start with self-talk narrative. This is like being the director of a documentary about your own life.
A documentary of my own life? That sounds fun. How does it work?
When you are alone at home, just describe what you are doing out loud. Let's say you are setting up your workspace in the morning. You can say out loud, "Okay, now I am opening my laptop. I need to check my emails first. Oh, I have a few unread messages from my team. Let me reply to this one. Now, where did I put my pen? Ah, here it is."
That is brilliant. It sounds a bit silly at first, but it is incredibly powerful. You are practicing real-time English production without any pressure. There is no one there to judge your grammar or your accent.
Exactly. It is a completely safe space, and it teaches your brain to connect physical actions directly to English words, bypassing your native language entirely.
Another great tool is shadowing. You can take a short clip of a native speaker, maybe from this podcast, and repeat exactly what they say, trying to copy their rhythm and tone in real time. It's like singing along to a song.
Yes, shadowing is fantastic for pronunciation and fluency. And finally, you can do the 2-minute recording challenge. Choose a simple topic, like your favorite childhood memory. Record yourself speaking about it for 2 minutes on your phone.
Then what?
Listen to the recording. Note down just 3 small things you want to improve. Maybe you spoke too fast, or maybe you struggled with a specific word. Then record yourself again on the same topic, focusing on those 3 improvements. You will be amazed at how much better the second recording sounds.
Part 7. Patience, Consistency, and the Timeline.
Those are incredibly practical tools, Emma. But I know our listeners are wondering, how long is this going to take? When will I finally see results?
It is important to have realistic expectations, David. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, you can't go to the gym once and expect to be strong the next day. The brain needs time to grow those new pathways.
Exactly. If you practice these techniques for just 15 to 30 minutes every day, consistently, here is what you can expect. In 2 to 3 weeks, you will start to notice small wins. A few English words or phrases will just pop into your head naturally. In 2 months, these moments will become much more frequent. You will have entire short thoughts in English without translating.
And in 6 months of daily, relaxed practice, English will start to feel natural. You will feel a flow.
That is so encouraging. It shows that consistency is far more important than intensity. Doing a little bit every day is the key.
Yes, and please be kind to yourself. You will have days where your brain feels tired and you have to translate more. That is completely normal. Even advanced speakers have those days. Celebrate your small victories every single day.
Well said, David. I think we have covered some wonderful strategies today. Let's do a very quick recap for our listeners.
Yes. Remember to use mental substitution to find different ways to say things. Practice your emotional inner monologue to connect language to your feelings. Focus on comprehensible input with the 70% rule, and use self-talk narrative and recording to practice your output daily.
And most importantly, enjoy the process. Be patient with your beautiful brain.
Thank you so much for listening to SlowVibe English today. Don't forget to subscribe, and please leave a comment below. What is your biggest challenge when you try to think in English? We read every single comment.
Have a wonderful, peaceful day, everyone. Keep practicing, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.